basketball she played. She distributed the basketball like a colonel when she was on the court. She demanded you knew where you were supposed to be and you execute every opportunity you got. Until Stephanie White run that type of system, the Indiana Fever is not going to win anything. Definitely not a championship. See, the only Achilles heel for Iowa was that sometimes some teams just completely was just a little bit better at times. But here in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has the talent around her, the speed, the shoot.
Stephanie White appears to be walking back her coaching philosophy, and the signs are becoming harder to ignore. Questions surrounding her style of play and whether it actually suits Caitlin Clark have been building for well over a year now, and the results on the court have not done much to quiet the critics. Those who followed Caitlin Clark from her college days at Iowa understand exactly what a properly built system around her looks like. Lisa Bluter constructed her entire program offensively and defensively with Clark at the center of it, and that approach carried a roster without a single five-star recruit deep into postseason competition year after year. Players who would have gone unnoticed elsewhere suddenly looked like elite prospects because of how Clark operated. Kate Martin is the clearest example. A player whose path to professional basketball was paved almost entirely by the environment Clark created around her.
To do everything that is possible to win a WNBA championship. And Caitlin Clark can finally get the monkey off her back. But there's one Achilles heel, and that Achilles heel is none other than head coach, the clown show herself, the circus general, Stephanie White. Now, Stephanie White seen a masterpiece at work last time they was on a basketball court. Sophie Cunningham clearly dissed the program and says, you know what? We're going to give this ball to Kate.
Clark ran the floor like a general, holding teammates to a standard of precision and positioning that made everyone around her better. Until that same kind of structure is built around her in Indiana, a championship is going to remain out of reach. The Fever do have genuine talent surrounding Clark now. Shooters, speed, players capable of executing at a high level. The pieces are there. The problem is that the coaching framework has not caught up to the personnel. The most telling moment of the recent stretch came when Sophie Cunningham essentially overrode the game plan and fed Clark repeatedly down the stretch.
Really dissed the program and says, you know what? We're going to give this ball to Caitlin. I don't care who you draw it up for. It's going to Caitlin. You know what happened when she did that? The Fever won the damn game. See, I think Stephanie White is overthinking this whole thing. See, Stephanie White is not knowing that, it's really simple. Give the ball to Caitlin Clark. We win the basketball game. We don't only just win one basketball game. We win damn near out the whole season. That's how monumental Caitlin Clark is. But at the end of the day, man, we just got to.
The result was a win. The lesson should have been obvious. White addressed the media ahead of a matchup with Chicago, and several things she said stood out. She talked about execution, timing, trust, and the organic nature of getting her three key players to gel. She acknowledged the team has been soft at moments and needs to tighten up. She talked about playing from behind for so long that learning to protect a lead is now its own challenge.
At the end of the day, man, we just got to wait and see to how this season going to progress. But as we get closer to the month of January, closer to the little All-Star break, I'm hoping for the life of me, Stephanie White turn this thing around and make sure Caitlin Clark do not end up as a wild card team coming in possibly with the 8th seed or something like that, because I don't even know the rankings right now, like where the Fever's sitting and all. But this thing ain't looking good. But we still like a month and a half in. They got a chance to turn it around. So I'm not.
These are not the words of a coach who has figured it out. They are the words of a coach still searching.
About assistant Austin Kelly. She brought him over from Vanderbilt,
and the same coaching staff that operated there is largely running things in Indiana. Continuity is not always a strength. When a scheme has already been studied and countered by opposing staffs, familiarity becomes a liability. The broader issue is experience at the highest level.
Chance to turn it around. So I'm not ready at this moment to write off the season, but something that we have to pay attention to is the system Stephanie White is choosing to run. Now she did a pregame interview yesterday. And in this interview, I noticed something. I noticed Stephanie White kind of backtrack her system, start saying things that they need to do with urgency. But in order for your team to execute those game plans, you have to be disciplined enough to teach them those game plans, to know, you know what, maybe
White herself pointed out during the press conference that nothing replaces experience. And that is exactly the problem. Reaching the playoffs or advancing to a conference final is a different thing entirely from lifting a championship trophy. Need coaches who have been in the deepest water and come out the other side with a ring. That ceiling has not been reached by anyone currently on the Indiana bench. The season is still young enough that a turnaround is possible. There is time before the All-Star break for the pieces to start fitting together.
those game plans, to know, you know what, maybe this isn't working right here because teams are, seeing my old track record from Connecticut, St. Vanderbilt film. Because for one, you got the same coaching staff from Vanderbilt. So it's all the same. It's all the same. It's a good old boy system with you, Stephanie. But let's listen to what Stephanie had to say. Let's play the clip right now. This should be very interesting. Shout out to Tony Eastman.
How to navigate it.
Ticket prices for tonight's game are still sitting at $726 a seat, with large sections of the arena still unsold. That alone says something. Fans are checked out. The trust is gone. And the question everyone keeps circling back to is the same one that came up when Clark sat out earlier this season. Is this real, or is something else going on? That's not fans being unreasonable.
They work incredibly hard. They stay together. And I think growing through in-game moments is going to be part of our process.
For a lot of the game, you don't play particularly well, but you still win. Do you want to look at it more as a learning thing? Do you want to try to view it as a positive when you win? How do you do that as a game?
I think both. I think certainly it's a positive. Our end-of-game execution continues to be really good, and that's a positive thing because you're gonna be in those situations throughout the course of the season.
That's what happens when an organization handles injury information the way this one has. When Clark missed time and the full picture only came out after the fact, it planted a seed of doubt. Now every absence, every last-minute roster's decision, it's viewed through that same lens. The Fever built this environment themselves. Stephanie White made comments back in 2024 when she was still with the Connecticut Sun, expressing frustration about fan scrutiny and social media pressure, shaping the narrative around the league. Those comments are getting a lot of attention now.
We've got to grow in our moments of not executing and our moments where we relax a little bit. We've played from behind a lot, before a year ago or what, and now we've got to learn to play with the lead, and that's a different type of pressure. There's a different type of urgency that you need to have, and I say it a lot, and it's true. It's not just word speak or coach speak. Like, there's no substitute for experience. And I think each time we get an opportunity to experience it, and then to...
The straightforward question being raised is this: if that level of outside pressure was already a problem 2 years ago, why accept a position coaching the most watched, most talked about team in the entire sport? The Fever and Caitlin Clark come with the biggest spotlight in women's basketball. That was never a secret. The same logic applies to the broader situation. The league pushed for a new media deal. Plotchal salaries went up.
From Stephanie White talking about fans in 2024 when she was with the Connecticut Sun. You hear this video, and my first thought was, why did you take this fever job if this is the way you felt? Did you not understand the scrutiny that this team was going to have? Or any team that's got Caitlin Clark on it? Did you not get that? And so we'll get to that in a second. Also, you know what? Before we
Viewership numbers climbed into the millions. All of that came with a cost. The same level of coverage and criticism that follows every major sports franchise.
you know what? Before we get to that, let me guys show you something. Let me show you guys something. That's tickets for tonight's game that are still available. Here, let me get this out so you can bathe in the healing light of these ticket prices. Look, number one, look at all these damn seats still available. All right? $7.26 tickets?
That's just what top-tier sports coverage looks like. The WNBA wanted that level of attention, and now it has it. With Cunningham sitting out, her role as the team's physical enforcer is gone for the night. The one player who generally steps in when things get chippy won't be available. That absence, combined with the fact that this is already a game drawing extra scrutiny, means every play involving Clark will be watched extremely closely by a fan base that is already on edge.
$7.26 tickets. Got to be more careful. $7.26 tickets. Oh yeah, people fed up. People are fed up with this crap. Oh, hold on. All right. Let me get this back. Yeah. There we go. People are fed up.
The front office, Stephanie, Amber White, Amber Cox, the entire leadership group has spent months making decisions that have steadily eroded fan confidence. The current situation, where every injury announcement gets treated as a potential cover story, is a direct result of how information has been handled. That perception problem doesn't fix itself overnight. It was created through actions, and it will take actions to undo it. Until then, every roster update drops into an environment where the benefit of the doubt simply no longer exists.
People are fed up. I mean, man, Chloe Peterson. I'm so glad there's so many extra details from the Indiana Fever media to go off of here. Sophie Cunningham is out for tonight's game against the Chicago Sky. Scott Agnes. Of course, he no longer has access, so he can't actually ask any questions now. Sophie Cunningham, right elbow, has been ruled out by the team for tonight's game versus the Sky. It's her first absence of the season. Caitlin Clark is good to go. Caitlin Clark is playing tonight, which is good. But now the speculation begins. Again, this is all on the Fever. This is all on the Fever. This is not the fans' fault. It's not YouTubers' fault. It's not anybody else's fault. Except you guys. You did what you did with Caitlin Clark's injury. She set out a game earlier this year. Caitlin Clark came out and said she wasn't feeling good. After the fact, we found out she wasn't feeling good, but there was a lot of suspicion around that. And again, this is all about perception. It's about optics. Sophie Cunningham, I suspect, is going to come out and say she was injured. And unfortunately for Sophie, I'm not sure a lot of people are going to believe it. It's where we're at now. You reap what you sow. Indiana Fever. Front office, management, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff. You reap what you sow. And now you're under continuous scrutiny and suspicion of what is factual, what is not. We should all vote for Sophie for All-Star just to piss folks off. Disgraceful. Free Sophie. That's good. That's probably going to go in the thumbnail.